Well, hello there, and I do hope you're all well. Well, this is quite shocking, if I'm honest. In the corridors of power, so to speak, the House of Commons, Labour MP for Hampstead and Kilburn, Tulip Siddiq, I'll get the teeth in, had an urgent question for the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs, Amanda Milling. And the question was about one of her constituents, a certain Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, and about her forced confession. Really interesting.
We now come to the next urgent question. I now call Tulip Siddiq.
Here. To ask the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs if she will make a statement on my constituent Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe's forced confession.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The treatment of Nazanin by the Islamic Republic of Iran has been horrendous. Her ordeal was exacerbated when Iran made clear they would not allow her to leave Tehran airport unless Nazanin signed a document. A UK official was present to help facilitate both Nazanin and Anousheh Azori's departure and passed on the message from the IRGC that she needed to sign a confession. Given the situation Iran put Nazanin in at the airport, she took the decision to sign the document. No UK official forced Nazanin to do so. Iran has a practice of insisting that detainees sign documents before they are released. Nothing about the cruel treatment by Iran of detainees can be described as acceptable, including at the point of release. We will continue to raise human rights concerns with the Islamic Republic of Iran, including over its detention of foreign nationals. The government of Iran must end its practice of unfairly detaining British and other foreign nationals, and we will continue to work with like-minded international partners to achieve this end.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, very much for granting this question. And every time I ask the question, I hope it's behind me. And when we celebrated Nazanin's return in the chamber, I thought I was on my final urgent question. But this is my 9th urgent question on Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe after the shocking revelation that she was forced to sign a confession under duress before she boarded the plane back to the UK from Iran. For days in the run-up to her release, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard had tried to make Nazanin write out and sign a document listing the crimes she was wrongly accused of, admitting guilt for them, requesting clemency and promising not to sue or criticise the Iranian government. At Tehran airport on 16 March, on the day she was eventually allowed to fly back to the UK, she was asked again to do this by Iran, but instead she tore up the piece of paper. It was only when a UK official told her that she had to sign it if she was going to board the plane that was waiting to take her home that she finally caved and gave Iran what they wanted. Nazanin returned home, but the toll this took on my constituent after 6 years of detention is unimaginable and unacceptable, and I do not accept what the Minister is saying, that no one forced her. Nazanin knew she could not get on that plane if the UK official had told her she had to sign that document to board the plane. The human rights organisation Redress has this week written to the Foreign Secretary setting out the view that the forced confession was, and I quote, part and parcel of the pattern of torture Mrs. Zaghari-Ratcliffe has suffered since she was first detained in 2016, as it involves further infliction of severe suffering, and that by telling her to sign the forced confession, it appears that UK officials were complicit in an unlawful act by the Iranian authorities in violation of government policy. I do not have to tell the Minister or anyone else in this House how serious an allegation this is, and one that Redress and Nazanin's family, including her husband, who is in the gallery today, argue is part of a systemic failure to respond to torture British citizens by foreign governments and hold them to account. I would like to ask the Minister the following questions. What was the reason that my constituent was required to sign a forced confession? Did the Foreign Secretary or the Prime Minister personally authorise UK officials to advise Nazanin to sign the forced confession, or was that decision taken by officials without their knowledge? What is the legal status of the forced confession and Nazanin's 2 convictions in Iran in UK law, and how can they be annulled? Is there any link between the UK's government's refusal to accompany Nazanin to her trial in 2021 and the forced confession? And finally, will the Minister acknowledge and denounce Nazanin's torture in Iran and commission an independent review of the UK's approach to torture of British citizens in Iran?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And I thank the honourable member for her questions, and also that she's raised Nazanin's case so many times in this place. As I said in my opening remarks, the Iranian authorities made clear at the airport that they would not allow Nazanin to leave unless she signed a document. I also said that the UK official present passed on the message to Nazanin, and given the situation Iran put her in, she agreed to sign it. The UK official did not force Nazanin to do so.
Somehow I don't believe her. I don't know why, but especially with this extreme Brexit Tory government, I don't believe her.
Just on this, Iran put Nazanin through a cruel and intolerable ordeal, and FCDO officials raised allegations of torture with the Iranian authorities at the time. We've not received a response on these, but Iran is under no doubt our concern at their treatment and our human rights concerns more generally.
And let's be honest, her situation was made worse by a certain foreign secretary who's just clearly been lazy over his briefs, and basically said she was over there teaching journalism, was it, or something? Quite clearly it wasn't. I wonder who that was. Good job he didn't get anywhere in politics, did he? And for me, I believe Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe. I wouldn't believe anything this extreme Brexit Tory government says. If they told me it's raining, I'll just check outside first before I take their word for it. And let's be honest here, why would she lie? But I was extremely dumbfounded that she was forced to confess to something she didn't do. And also believe her when she was forced to sign it from the Foreign Office. What do you guys think? Staggered me. But anyway, before I go, I want to thank you. 7,000 subscribers. I'm incredibly humbled. Again, thank you. Right, I shall leave the video here. Until the next time, I shall bid you farewell and take care.